Hello Big Valley School. I'm just going to quickly go through this new document that's come across my desk. Obviously I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I'm just going to give you some of the highlights so that we can all do a bit of a better and different job at how we approach different symptoms and illnesses that are inevitably going to come up during the year. So let's take a look. I am gonna post this. This should be on the alberta.ca/COVID site. It is a Government of Alberta document. So I'm gonna switch the camera around and then read and explain as we get going. So again, this is the new document that has come across my desk. It should give a little more clarity as to when students can return depending on what symptoms they have. So obviously students with any symptoms of any sickness should not be attending school. If they develop symptoms that could be caused by either COVID-19 or a pre-existing condition, then they should be tested for COVID to confirm it's not the source of their symptoms before returning to school. If you have symptoms, you need to stay home and call HealthLink, and you can also fill out the online assessment tool. Obviously, we know that parents and contacts of a student who has symptoms, but it's not COVID-19, are not required to quarantine. So what that means is if you have a child who is one of your children is showing symptoms of COVID, but like nobody in your household has come into any close contact with anybody with a confirmed case of COVID, then the rest of the siblings can still go to work still go to school, and parents can still go to work if you have one person in the household who is displaying some symptoms. Obviously, if you are identified as a close contact of somebody who is a case of COVID-19, then yeah, you're going to have to quarantine. You should get tested if you have any COVID-19 symptoms, but as far as student illnesses go, so here's the stuff that is really relevant. If you have any of these symptoms, you are legally required to isolate for 10 days from the start of your symptoms or until they resolve, whichever is longer. So if you have a fever, a cough, so a new one, or it's like getting worse, if you have shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, so if that's a new thing or if it's getting worse, if you have a runny nose or sore throat, any of those 5 things, you are legally required to isolate for at least 10 days from the start of your symptoms or until they resolve, whichever is longer. And we certainly suggest that you go get a test, and then once those symptoms are resolved, you can come back, especially because if these symptoms just show up and you're not close contact of somebody with COVID-19, then after the negative test and after your symptoms resolve, then you're good to come back. If you have these symptoms, so this is where it gets a little bit different. If you have these symptoms, stay home and minimize your contact with others until the symptoms resolved. Chills, painful swallowing, stuffy nose, headache, muscle or joint aches, feeling unwell or feeling fatigue or exhaustion, gastrointestinal symptoms, so if you got the scoots, or if you ate an entire plate of nachos and threw up, or you just don't really feel like eating, loss of sense of smell or taste, and pink eye. So if you have those symptoms, you still obviously stay home because we don't want you to come when you're sick, but you do not have to isolate. So once these symptoms are gone, you may return to school. You kind of have that option of getting the COVID test as you see fit for these symptoms. For these symptoms up here, you are legally required to isolate at least 10 days. So again, that's fever, a new cough or worsening cough, shortness of breath or difficulty, runny nose or sore throat. Then you must require, and we really suggest getting a COVID test. So just for contact tracing, all of those things. So I am going to post this on Facebook. There's some more information on the back about isolation requirements and just suggestions for if students have symptoms related to allergies or pre-existing conditions and things like that. Okay, yeah, that's all I have for you. That's the latest information I have, and hopefully that helps people kind of decide what they need to isolate for. Like I said, like some of these ones, like if you have the scoots, or if you are, like I said, if you inhale an entire plate of nachos and then feel sick afterwards, well, that's probably to be expected. So when those symptoms resolve or go away, then you can certainly come back to school. Hopefully that makes things a little more clear, hopefully not more confusing. But if you have any questions, then don't hesitate to send me an email. Okay, that's all I got for you.